Hello guys, my name is Evgenia and I'm from the 69th Sniffing Brigade. Today in our room we have a very special guest. This is Victoria Honcharuk, call sign Tori. She is from Zhytomyr Oblast, but at the beginning of full-scale invasion she was living in New York, working in one of the banks on the Wall Street. After the beginning of full-scale invasion, she started delivering medical means to Ukraine and raising lots of money, but later decided to come back home and join the Hospitalists Volunteer Medical Battalion. Tori, you've been probably asked this question many times before, but could you please tell us and our audience more about how you made it to New York by such a young age?
Sure. Thank you so much for the introduction. I first went to the US when I was 15 on a Future Leaders Exchange program. And then I went back home, finished high school, and actually did my bachelor's degree in the US in California. And I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. I thought I wanted to do business for a long time. Then I did a degree in computational sciences, and I graduated with a degree in computational sciences. But during my years at university, I realized that I actually wanted to do banking. So I did a very traditional path of getting into investment banking. I did my third year. People who are watching this, if they know anything about investment banking, they would know I did my third year internship at Citibank in investment banking. And then I did get a full-time offer from both Citi and Morgan Stanley, and I chose Morgan Stanley. And that's how I made it to my dream job at that time.
But was it always your dream to go work and live in the United States, or was it just like a random place where your life path took you?
No, it was more random, a set of random decisions that got me there. I wanted to do banking, and when I realized I wanted to invest in banking, I realized I needed to be in the center of investment banking, which is New York City. So that's how I got there. I actually chose my university because it allowed me to live in different countries, not just in the US. So during my bachelor's degree, I actually lived in South Korea, I lived in India, I lived in London for a semester, and then COVID broke some of my plans to live in other countries, but it was still a great experience.
And how old were you when you got this job, your dream job in New York?
I was 20.
20. So by 20, you've lived in how many countries?
Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6.
In 6 countries, in so many different cultures.
Yeah,
and
it was great.
How was your life before full-scale invasion? Like, could you describe it? Like your friends, your surrounding, your hobbies. What did you do?
I had a friend group from all over the world, and they're great. If they're watching, hi, I miss you. Since I worked at investment banking, I didn't have a lot of free time. It was mostly me working and then me going home and finishing work and then going back to the office. But life in investment bankers always work hard and play hard. So of course I found time to do some fun stuff in between. But yeah, mostly it was working at the office, meeting very cool, important people, going to fancy places in New York City. It was great. It was a dream for a lot of people, I think.
Was it your dream? Were you satisfied with that?
At the time.
And did everything change when the full-scale invasion began?
Of course.
And how was your feeling? What were your thoughts at that time? I mean, I can understand it was really hard for anyone outside of Ukraine who were Ukrainians to see those old news. Like, it's always heartbreaking, but not everyone made a decision to come back or to did so much volunteering as you did in the beginning. Like, could you describe this first days, first weeks, maybe?
I'm trying. I definitely had a mixture of strong emotions, anger, sadness, more anger, maybe even like hopelessness. And I think I've always been very sensitive to injustice in general. And so this was kind of a big hit for me, and realizing that maybe I shouldn't believe in humanity as much as I did. I believed that people are inherently good before the full-scale invasion, and now I don't think so anymore. So it was a big boom of emotions. And because I felt this big sense of injustice and the need to do something with it, that's why I was, I think, more involved than other people. My family also is a lot more involved than most of families in Ukraine. My mom, my dad, and my sister, they all joined the armed forces in the beginning. And even my mom was very against like women in the army and things like that. She went into territorial forces, and she was like standing with AK-74 and being a little soldier. I was very proud of her. So I'm very proud of how my family reacted to the full-scale invasion. And I needed to be at least as good as them.
So your family was the motivation for you to take some actions as well?
For some part, yes.
Were you having this kind of, I don't know, culture or patriotic spirit in your family while you were raised, or was it something that like happened later?
Again, a mixture. I mean, I grew up speaking Ukrainian, which I think is a big part already of some kind of patriotic upbringing, but my family never emphasized any patriotic feelings. And my sister was a part of Maidan. She was a university student at the time. I think that is when I realized more that I'm Ukrainian and I care about that part of my life, and I cared about Ukraine existing, obviously Ukrainian culture existing, preserving Ukrainian culture and language, and that's something that I want to carry out throughout my life with me.
How old were you when you got this understanding?
13, 14. So it was right before I went to the US for the first time, and then when I did, I was very keen on bringing Ukrainian culture and actually showing how proud I am that I'm Ukrainian, making sure that people understand that there is a difference between Russians and Ukrainians. Like that was a big part for me at that young age already. And so yeah, so since then I cared a lot more about this than during my childhood.
Talking a little bit about bringing Ukrainian culture, did you notice how the perspective of Ukrainians has changed abroad while you were living there in different countries? Was there a shift after full-scale invasion, after Revolution of Dignity, about how people abroad see Ukrainians?
I cannot speak so much about the change after full-scale invasion, but I've definitely seen the change from traditional perspective of Ukrainians in the US up until the full-scale invasion. Because traditionally, again, Ukrainians, Russians, people from Kazakhstan, from all of the post-USSR countries, they were kind of blended into one stereotype. And in 2015, when I went to the US, it probably was still a little bit of that. So me, and I feel like my generation in general, people who have gone through programs like Flex or anything else, or just went to study abroad, we try to change that and represent Ukraine as, first of all, Ukraine, again, not post-USSR, but Ukraine, that we are smart, that we're intelligent, that we are nothing like all of these stereotypes, especially like as a Ukrainian woman. There were a lot of stereotypes that I felt like were put on me. And I was trying to be the opposite of that. So I was doing a degree in computational sciences, which is again not very traditional for women, especially from Eastern Europe. And I was getting like high-paid jobs. And I was just in general being, again, not what usually people have stereotypes about Eastern Europe.
European girls, yeah. This
I'm
image
trying to be
was,
very like politically correct.
yeah. But there are some stereotypes, and like I think it's okay that we're talking about them, because being the opposite of what people used to have is a nice thing that you were bringing that.
Yeah, of course. And so I'm saying like our generation, because you and I are from that generation, we're trying to change that, and I've seen that being changed with time. And when I say that I'm from Ukraine, people don't necessarily think of me as I don't know, cheap labor that came into the country or something like that.
I had I think I can share that a little bit. I had the similar experience of studying in the United States, and that was the time when I actually realized that my Ukrainian identity is something really important that I want to also carry throughout my life and share this with other people. And to me, in my mind, when I was like 16, I also went to the US, study in high school. It was so obvious that Russia invaded Ukraine. It was like a basic thing that I thought that everybody knows in the world. And then I was representing myself like, hi, I'm from Ukraine. And I always heard, oh, so you're from Russia, or you're a part of Russia. And that broke my heart so bad. So I also wanted like to change that. And it's so nice to see that at least now it's changing. Yeah, it took us a huge war and all that, but at least they are not looking at us as part of Russia or whatever.
I just want to say that I hope that Ukrainians abroad now are carrying out that same idea and trying to represent themselves as the best Ukrainians out there and the best people in the world, as smart, intelligent people who came with the right ideas and people who are carrying the right ideas about Ukraine as well.
Yeah, because sometimes when people abroad meet you, you say you're from Ukraine, they don't only see you as a person, they see you as the representative of your country, your culture, and everything else. And it's extremely important to have the understanding that you are
a representative,
whole country.
Of course. And you have to be the best in the room.
That's true. So I also wanted to come back a little bit about your experience in the beginning of full-scale invasion. I know you were raising money and delivering medical means to Ukraine. How was that? Where did you find those medical means? Where did you find places to raise money? Like, could you describe that process?
Yeah, it was very easy in the beginning. It was much easier in the beginning of full-scale invasion. People were happy to donate, individuals, and wasn't raising so much from businesses and organizations. It was mostly from people. And just buying stuff in the US, shipping them to Ukraine. My sister, who was a combat medic at the time, well, she's still a combat medic, she was helping me with understanding what's needed. And I realized there was a huge gap at the time, and so I wanted to fill it out.
Did you have any understanding of how the combat medics work, or were you connected somehow with the medical?
Yeah, with my sister.
Oh, so through your sister.
Yeah. Mm.
But you came back then and joined the hospitalists medical battalion. Did you got those skills like after coming back?
Yeah, when I came back to Ukraine, first thing I did is I took all of the courses that are available just for my understanding before I even joined the resistance. So I know, first of all, if it's interesting for me. It was interesting for me already, but I wanted to get some practical skills before. And then I joined and I did the traditional hospitaliers training. And the next day after, as soon as I got the certificate, I went to the frontline.
Of course, all of your family is in the military, and they were even before you came back. How did they see your decision of coming back here? Was it like something supportive of that, or they were like, stay there?
My sister is always supportive of me. I know she always approves of my choices, but she understands that she has to support me, whatever I do, because I'm going to do it anyway, so it's better to support me. And so do I with her decisions, whatever she wants to do. I try to support her. My dad can be understanding as well. My mom, not so much. Throughout my life, she was not always not understanding, but supportive of my choices. Even when I went to flex, she wasn't supportive because she could understand what it is. So yeah, I think with war. So she actually stopped eating for a few days as a sign of protest.
When you came back?
When I joined hospitaliers. It lasted for a few days, but my dad was controlling the situation. But It's not funny, but it was her sign of protest. Although she did the very same thing.
How is she now?
She's good. She's supported now. She's learned to support.
During this last 3 years of... Okay, well, I'm happy that it become better, because it always hurts to have some misunderstanding with parents, as they are like one of the closest people.
Yeah, no, my mom's very supportive now. She tries to do as much as she can. Was supporting me and my sister, so it's good. It's good to have her by my side.
Do you see your sister a lot? Is she with you?
I work. My evacuation crew works with her battalion, so I see her quite a lot. We even treated the same injured.
Wow, that's family bonding.
Yeah, I could see her writing on the injured, and I was like, okay, yes, I know this writing. That's my sister.
Oh, you understand that this like something?
No, actually, I know also that they are from her platoon. But it was I made a joke saying, "Oh, I know this writing. Were you treated by this person?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah."
Yeah, that's my sister. Yeah, so you're in the good hands. Yeah. How was the first days or first weeks in the hospitaliers? Because, changing from investment banking in New York to hospitaliers in Ukraine during the full-scale invasion seems like a huge change in your life. How was it?
It was still long hours, no sleep, a lot of energy drinks, a lot of coffee. It's very similar to investment banking, if anyone's wondering, in that sense. But so I'm kind of an overthinker, but in a sense that I think about all of the possible situations that can happen and try to be prepared for them mentally. So when I was going to the front line, I was like, I'm not gonna eat for days. I'm not gonna sleep for days. I'm gonna sleep, or if I'm gonna sleep like in a trench, and there's gonna be no conditions whatsoever. It's gonna be horrible. I'm gonna have so much work.
You were preparing yourself for
Yeah,
worse.
I was preparing myself for the worst. And so when I came to the front line and I realized that people actually care about each other and about getting some sleep and helping each other with different things, and it wasn't as bad as my worst case scenario, then I realized that I'm gonna be fine.
What about the surrounding? You previously said that you lost hope in, you previously believed that all people are generally good, so you kind of don't have this expectation anymore, but you also now say that people were better than you thought. So do you now...
Oh, I always thought people were good. I meant about conditions in general, just to clarify that. It's a good question. I don't think Ukrainian people on the front line are people. They are more than people. So I have faith in them. Probably the only creatures that I have faith in are the people on the front line.
So your surrounding, your friend circle, is now mostly people from who you're serving with?
Only people from from the military. Yeah.
Did this happen naturally because you were talking to them, or do you feel that you don't have anything to talk about with people who are not in military?
I think it's mostly, I know a lot of friends from my previous life who were scared to talk to me because they didn't know what's going to trigger me or what my schedule looks like or things like that, and they were just afraid to do something wrong, that they ended up doing nothing at all, and that drifted us apart.
Do you still, you said you had so many friends in so many countries that you lived where you lived. Do you still stay in touch with some of those people?
Yeah, of
Do
course.
they still support Ukraine?
Yes, there were obviously there were people who were not okay with my decision from my friend group in the US, but there were people who understood and supported me. One of them is Natalia. I hope she watches this. And actually I went to Madrid in October last year for a conference, and a lot of my friends flew in Madrid just to see me for the weekend, and it was great. I was very happy to see them.
Oh, that's so sweet, actually, that when they got this opportunity to meet you, they flew to Madrid. How was that time?
Amazing. It was like we were back, like nothing happened for a day. We tried to just enjoy ourselves and spend time together.
Was it sad for you to come back from that Madrid weekend?
No, because I know what I do is important, and I know why it's important, and I get so much motivation just from my work that I don't have to think about things like that.
You get lots of motivation from your work, like from patients you save, from your friends?
Of course. Sometimes when I'm down, it's usually when there's no work, and then I have one injured, and I understand that I don't always save lives, right? I can sometimes save limbs. I can make their health a little bit better. I can just, I don't know, sometimes even cheer them up a little bit, maybe. Anything like that motivates me.
Of course, there is not a lot of free time now in your life, but still, when you have free time, what do you like to do? Do you still have the hobbies that you used to have before?
Well, I didn't have any hobbies. I was an investment banker. No. Actually, I actually did not have hobbies. This is so sad.
Opening. New discovery during this interview.
I think I'm more free now than I was an investment banker.
Well, that's a good news.
This is so sad. This is going to be like, the anonymous alcoholics club. There should be one like investment bankers club. You talk about your life and you're like, oh my gosh. I had a friend group here in Ukraine, in my military circle, my sister included, but unfortunately everyone except for my sister were killed. And just a few days ago, on the 22nd, there was an anniversary of the death of the last two guys from the group. But when they were alive, we would try to see each other all the time. And even before I worked with their battalion, they would travel to see me. And we would play tennis. There was a great tennis court in Pokrovsk where we would meet. We had rackets and we weren't good players, but we still try to have fun and play tennis or volleyball or anything to spend time together like that.
Well, just for the context, Pokrovsk is the town that is now struggling a lot with Russian offensive. It's almost impossible to stay there. Lots of civilians already evacuated. And I think nobody is playing tennis there anymore.
Yeah. There's still one in Kramatorsk, and that's my favorite city in Ukraine. So.
Your favorite city? Why?
It's a long story. But if you look at all of the things that are important for you in a city or a town that you live in, Kramatorsk just checks all of them.
Like what exactly?
Like good stores, good places to eat. Well, but they closed the pizza place that I liked recently. But anyway, it's beautiful. There are a lot of parks. There are a lot of things to see that are beautiful. They're outside of Kramatorsk. The vibes are good. I was going to say that the vibes are amazing in Kramatorsk. So if you've never been to Kramatorsk, this is your sign to come.
I've also heard that Kramatorsk is being like a meeting place for lots of people who are volunteering and military. So that's nice probably to meet like friends and anybody else, and then you go your separate ways. I know that yesterday after the handout, you went to the demonstration for prisoners of war, and you actually wearing the T-shirt of AZOVSTAL defenders.
Yeah.
A very like famous phrase in Ukraine that this fight this fight for the prisoners of war has started in 2022 and is still going on because we still have people who have been in Russian prisons for more than 3 years. Could you please tell about this? Why do you go to these demonstrations? Why do you take part in that?
I went to all the demonstrations also back in New York, for example. For me, I think I don't need to explain why it's important to talk about prisoners of war. I or any of my friends could have been captured and held as prisoners of war. So it's obviously, that's one of the parts why it's important to talk about them, why it's important to go to demonstrations, why it's important to remind people that prisoners of war are still there and they're not being treated the way they're supposed to, at least by Geneva Convention, things like that. For me, especially AZOVSTAL is a representation of Ukrainian strength and resistance. And I think if not Mariupol and AZOVSTAL and how they heroically held the city for so many days with no resources, I think that was a big message for the rest of the world. And I think this is why a lot of people in Western countries have understood that Ukraine can fight, can resist, and they're doing this in expense of their own lives and everything. And they just want to they want to save Ukraine. And we're going to do this regardless of what's going to cost us. I think AZOVSTAL was a representation of that. And the decision to accept captivity was to save their lives. But unfortunately, with the enemy that we're dealing with, captivity is not an option to save people's lives, because a lot of them are being tortured and killed in captivity. A lot of, again, the greatest people of our country are being tried for 25 plus years in Russian prisons, which is again against everything that the Western world stands for and the Geneva Convention stands for. I think that definitely should not be the case. People should be talking about this, that things like this are happening. I have a personal friend who was in captivity for 2.5 years, and he was very lucky. He got out alive with all his limbs, but obviously with a huge emotional, mental trauma. And it's important for him to come to those demonstrations, and so it's also important to me because of him and because of understanding that if not AZOVSTAL, if not people in Mariupol, then I wouldn't have a country to come back to. But they held AZOVSTAL, and that's why I was able to come back to Ukraine, and I am still able to fight for Ukraine, and I am able to speak Ukrainian and be here with you guys today.
You mentioned that you've lost several of your friends. Also, some of your friends were in captivity. Probably some of the people you know are still in captivity. And this is a very hard burden, like heavy burden that you carry around like every day. Of course, you might not think about it, but it's still somewhere in the background. Do you, like, how do you support your mental state? I mean, I understand that that might be like a funny question to you, funny at some point, but it's still important to talk about that because you might not think about it like now, but like the things you're going through, the things that many Ukrainian military and volunteers are going through are not easy, and they're going to have some trace in now or in future. Do you do something to support your mental state?
Of course, I work a lot. I tried talking to a therapist one time. It was a lot bigger burden to talk to a therapist than to think about everything, all the things that happened to me. What helps me now is writing sometimes. So when I have a lot of emotions, I usually just put it not on paper, but like on my notes and my phone. Some of them I post sometimes, and it helps me kind of like let go an emotion. What else? What helps me? And I made peace with understanding that okay, I couldn't save my friends from dying because all of them had injuries that there's nothing that we could do with them. But maybe I will save somebody who is like my friends to them, to somebody else, who is important to somebody else, who's somebody else's brother, friend, father, sister, it doesn't matter. So understanding that helps me. So every time it happens that I either save somebody's life or save their life a little bit better in bigger piece, then I think about my friends and I think, okay, maybe I did something really good for somebody else, somebody like me.
If you were to meet, like now, with all your experiences, all you've been through, if you were to meet the Tory in December 2021, like maybe Victoria by that time,
Yeah, no,
because
it's
you
not
didn't
Tory
have
back then.
that call sign. If the Tory were to meet Victoria from December 2021, would you have something to tell her?
Oh, go work out, girl. You need to carry a lot of people soon. So, no, nothing except for just prepare better.
In one of your interviews, I read that you wanted to, after working in the US, after working in investment banking, you wanted to come back to Ukraine and start your own business here. Is that right, or am I mistaken?
Yeah, when I was younger, I thought of opening a VC firm in Ukraine, but I don't know if I want to do that still, and I don't know what I want to do in the future at all. So I don't have a response for what are my dreams are like now, because I cannot think of anything but tomorrow.
So you're not planning ahead like
No.
anybody else in the world, any people of our age?
No, I used to be such a planner. I was like, I'm gonna do this for 2 years, and then I'm gonna move to this industry, and I'm gonna do this and that. I knew like my career path, probably like by years for sure. But now it's a little bit of a different world, so.
Do you stay in touch with people whose lives you saved?
Sometimes, of course. Since I work with the battalion that I have a lot of friends in, the infantry assault battalion, I actually also evacuated my best friend, but then he was killed a year ago. But I do stay in touch with some of the injured that I have a chance to evacuate. It's an interesting meeting. It's an interesting way to meet friends. I'm going to say that. But a lot of them are very special people, and whenever I have a chance, I still I have coffee with them. I think I'm going to meet some of them tonight, if lucky. I actually have a present from one of my new friends. It's an injured that I evacuated last year, and it's a foot. Well, he made it, so it's handmade.
It's handmade.
Yes, and it says "Дякую." It says "thank you" in a smiley face.
Thank you, and a smiley face.
Yeah.
Yes, that's important.
Because he had injuries of his legs, both of his legs, and we were able to save both. And so as a thank you, he gave me this gift.
So he is now healthy, walking?
Yeah, he's walking. He is, I'm hoping to meet him and his girlfriend today.
Well, that's nice. What do you feel something special when you realize that you are saving people's lives? Like, I mean, I understand that might be a weird question and it's hard to explain, but if you have something to say about it.
I think it's an honor to save lives of people who are putting their lives at risk every single day to protect me and to protect values that I share with them. So for me, it's just an honor.
Did you have your sensitivity changed throughout these 3 years that you work with? Like people and injuries? I mean, lots of people in the military say that they either become really rough or they are, on the opposite, becoming too sensitive with everything going on. Like, everybody reacts differently. What changes did you have?
I have a few answers to that question. I think I was afraid of blood and needles before the war started, and now, obviously, in that sense, I'm less sensitive towards those things, and obviously, like seeing all of the injuries. That's one answer. Second is, I think I care more about people now, even more, after having some friends that I lost. I now understand the value of people in my life a lot more. And I have a better understanding that I need to sometimes do things that are gonna hurt the injured, but it's gonna obviously save their life. So in the beginning, it was so much harder to. I was always understanding that, it was just harder to do. But with time, it became much easier.
We're talking about, frankly speaking, scary things. People losing limbs, people losing lives. But you seem to be talking about that like with some laughs. It looks like it's easy to you. Does it? Like, is it easy to you, or do you have some kind of mechanism that is protecting you by this way of talking?
It's not easy. It's a defensive mechanism, but it's a defensive mechanism that I put on these situations themselves, not right now, for example. But also with injuries, it's mostly the people that I work with. Is like, if we're gonna have, first of all, if we're gonna take everything very close to our heart, everything that we do and we see every single day, we're gonna go crazy. That's one thing. And another one is, some of my injured, they are sometimes the funniest people in the world, even like after the injury has occurred and they're in my car, and sometimes some of them understand that they lost a limb or they are just very badly injured, they're in so much pain, but they still try to like crack a joke, laugh a little bit, or just like be very nice and kind. I remember this, one of my injured also became a friend afterwards. He had several open fractures in his arm, and he was in so much pain. And I was giving him an IV, and while I was doing this, he was like, did you get it in? Like in the vein? I said, yeah. He's like, oh, you're such a good paramedic. And I was like, he said it in such a cute way. And I was like, I cannot believe this guy is like in so much pain right now. He's just being so caring and so nice. He's like, do you need any help? I can help you with something. And I'm like, no, you focus on yourself. Like, you are the center of my attention, of my world right now. You take care of yourself. And he was like, okay, but let me know if I can help you with something. And I was like, okay. When you work with people like that, obviously it's much easier.
I'm talking not about a career, but something personal or anything else. Do you have any dreams or wishes that you would like to come true?
No. Cannot dream right now, no.
Is there something else that I didn't ask you, but you would like to deliver to the audience or to tell anyone from abroad?
There are lots of things.
Take your time, we're not in a rush.
I think I see this misconception that a lot of people abroad have about the war in Ukraine. It's understanding what we want. We people of Ukraine, we people in Ukraine, we people who fight for Ukraine, we all want this war to stop. Of course, like I didn't want this war to start in the beginning. I have been much happier, sipping my expensive cocktail in Manhattan and never have to think about everything that I went through. And I would be so happy doing that. But an enemy attacked us, and we have to preserve what we have, and we have to resist. This is not a want, this is a need. And this is something that we will do no matter how much people help us from the outside. And if not this year, then in 10 years, then if I have kids, my kids are gonna have to do this. The next generation, it's gonna continue until they kill every single Ukrainian. So, of course I want this war to stop, but it's not gonna stop by a ceasefire and by giving up 4 of our states, or 5 or 6, because if we give up 4 now, it's gonna be 2 more in 2 years, and it's gonna be 5 more in 10 years. So I think it's my biggest message is, yes, we want the war to stop. And it's just not by giving up Ukraine. That's it. It's gonna be my big message.
Tori, thank you for your time, for coming here today. And even though you don't have that much time in Kyiv and you want to meet all of your friends, you still came and told us about your story, about your life path. I really hope that everything is going to turn the best for you, and wish you luck every day with your job and anything else you deal with.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you guys for doing everything that you're doing.
Hello.
Hello.
Hola. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Salut. Hello. Sveiki.
Hello.